What about this? Nic Cassidy posts a 58 at Q School. 58. Look at this guy. He looks so dialed with the glasses on. I like this. But let's take a moment and just honor this scorecard. Unbelievable.
Unreal.
Yeah, absolutely. Front nine, all birdies except for a singular par on hole 3. And then on the back, we got another couple 5 birdies, 1 bogey. He was on 57 watch, minus that bogey. Could you imagine?
That was on a par 5, too. Imagine being hot and bogeying on a par 5.
That's crazy.
That's almost as bad as being hot. And on the 18th, you step up to the tee and just duck hook one out into the woods. And then,
Yeah, but he actually hit 58, though.
He did.
For this to happen the next weekend after that, too.
That is wild.
By a Q School kid?
I know. And what's crazy is I think he ended up shooting like a 67 and like a 65. Like he didn't win did he win or he tied for the win?
Yeah,
he
so there wasn't like a playoff. It was
Yeah.
like only a certain amount of people from each place for this Q School move on. So they don't do like a playoff. They just give them both the medal.
So can somebody explain what Q School is for people like me that don't know what that is?
Sure. So for the various tours owned by the PGA Tour, there are Q schools to get into that tour. There's a Q school for Korn Ferry Tour. There's a Q school for the Americas Tour, now that it's Canada and Mexico and all joined together. But ultimately what it is, it's like you sign up, anybody can, and there's, I believe, 3 stages, and it just whittles the group down. And at the end of these 3 stages, you earn yourself a card onto that tour. Q and school, I have no idea why that's in the name. It's not like you like go to classes, you got like your, continuing education hours for whatever PGA Tour. But essentially they're all over the world because you can even do it, for DP World Tour. They have it as well. So you'll hear guys that are trying to get status on different tours that they're like, oh, I'm doing Q school in Denmark, to try and get a European card or something like that. But there's also a lot of strategy to it because in the earlier stages, they'll be in different cities. And so like guys will know, man, I don't want to go try down in Florida where all the golfers live. I'm going to go try and do Q school up in Seattle where there might be less spots for moving on then. So there's a lot of strategy play that these guys put together to try and work towards getting themselves some form of a status or even partial status onto the tour. But yeah, it's all about qualifying and moving on and moving on. And it's usually just the last few spots make it to the next round. And then you got to play lights out again against all of the guys who have big golf tour dreams and against you. And to me, it's such a wild thing. There's no money. It costs a ton. It's thousands of dollars to get to, your entry into Q school. And these guys are all self-funding it. You know what I mean? Some of them are like, oh, I've got a hookup for golf balls, but like, they're not getting that like AT&T money and all for the shot.
So like if you're in Florida, they'll take, maybe 30 people, or if you're playing up in like Seattle, they might only take like the top 1 or 2 or something like that.
No, they might take like the top 4 or 5 in Florida instead of the top, 3 maybe. But that top 5 is going to be a lot more competitive because whatever the 60 in the field are all guys that might have previously had Korn Ferry status and trying to get back on. And I mean, because you're down in the pro golf capital.
And this one was huge. There was 19 qualifiers.
19.
Yeah.
For a stage 1.
Yeah, and they all had, the cut was 9 under.
Wow.
Cool.
That's just wild. The cut.
So how many stages is it to get your card?
I believe 3.
I believe it's 3.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 3 stages to get your way through.
And then, again, so like, if you're in the Seattle stage 1, like is Seattle having stage 2 and 3, or then you have to go somewhere else to get your stage 2, 3?
They usually move. It's usually not at the same course, and there's like regions until you finally get down to the final stage. It's all in one place.
You kind of got to think about it like regionals, sectionals, and state. If you look at it for like, because I mean a lot of like especially IHSA. For like individual type sports like golf, bowling, I think track and field does it. All those sports where there's a team aspect, but also your individuals, that's what happens. Like I remember back in high school, like for sectionals for state for bowling, like individually it was like top 7 at this place, but like at another site, it was like top 5. So like it was scattered throughout, and same thing with college. Like whatever place was more popular had more open or more spots to qualify in. Other places that were smaller had less. I kind of like this format though.
I think the name's weird, but I do like it.
I want to ask you guys. So I feel like this is now, because I didn't really know exactly what Q school was either until you just explained that. So thank you. But that's like so much pressure if you're in like that last group and like you're right on the edge of making it out. Do you think that's equal pressure to like a pro golfer at like tied on 18 at a major? Because they haven't felt this kind of pressure before.
I think it's perspective. I mean, I imagine, for example, the pressure on Tommy Fleetwood to get that win out of the way is much higher than it is for, I don't know, Scotty Scheffler, who's doing it very regularly.
Yeah.
But I also feel like the pressure for these guys that are losing money, they're on borrowed time and borrowed money, and I'm almost there. I'm like, I have my chance to break through and get a tour card. I think that pressure is unbelievable. So I think it's like most situations, it's the pressure is according to you.
Right.
And I also would imagine that there are people who are well-funded through Q School and maybe don't have the same pressure standing over that putt on 18 as the dude. I mean, legitimately, I've talked to guys who are doing mini tours and stuff. They said a lot of these guys, they are so broke trying to make it that they'll travel in U-Hauls so they can drive and then sleep in the back with all their gear. Literally sleeping in the back of box trucks to be playing on mini tours and trying to get status and trying to work their way up. So you could imagine you're sleeping in the back of a U-Haul. Your back is just completely sore. You know what I mean? It's just, you've been sweating all night because obviously they don't play much in cold climates. And you're like, this is my chance. Maybe my chance out. Like I could potentially do it. I can't imagine standing over that putt. That to me is as close to like life or death as it gets.
There's no consolation prize. If you if you bogey on 18 at the PGA Championship, you're still going to come home with your millions. Like you're not, if the top 5 are in, you finish 6th here, it's all right, well, better luck next year.
Yeah, like they're so bummed out on their private jet flight home. Yeah, they're just like, oh man, just.
Not trying to discount that pressure, but I just feel like this is like a different type of pressure.
Yeah, I feel like, especially like you look at like the skill level and all that stuff. Like, I mean, they're probably as good, if not just a little bit less as good as pros.
Yeah.
Like the PGA Tour guys, but at the same time, there's an after. Like after you win a Masters, it's like, okay, I could just do it again. This one is like, oh, I'm getting to the show.
Somebody asked Dustin Johnson, they were asking like, what amount of money, is makes like a putt have pressure on it? What amount? They're like, when you're playing for these big tours, these big purses. And he pointed out a really good point. He goes, it's different if it's like I'm gambling and it's my money. Like that is already my money. I could be losing. But when it's a prize, it's like, well, that's not my money. I would like to have it. I would like to win. I would like this opportunity. And so he was saying the pressure is far greater in terms of dollars when it's your own money on the line versus a prize purse that would be really, really awesome to win, which is a good point.
I get that.
I mean, but so I get everything you're saying, and it's definitely a different pressure for a guy who's traveling around in the back of a truck. But you're talking about you're at the Masters and you're there and you're against Justin Rose and you're hitting this putt and you're going to leave it a little short just so you don't crush it, just so you can go to a playoff. And like that amount of pressure that he had to face is just that. I think that's just next level pressure.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing with that is there's the pressure of the whole world's watching. Like,
yes,
all eyes, in the words of Bo Burnham, all eyes on me at this moment. Yeah, you're right. It's like, but again, is that the same as the guy who slept in a U-Haul last night that is in the final stage in the final group coming down the stretch on Sunday and is one shot back or standing over the potential winning putt, but it's like a little bit of a long kind of risky putt. And it's like, I'm either going back to the U-Haul. Well, you got to return it either way. You got to get your deposit back.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's wild to compare those two, or like you said, Rory trying to complete this Grand Slam for over a decade and misses the putt and goes back to a playoff and is standing over a slightly shorter version of the same putt that I don't have confidence in because I just missed basically the same thing. And
then you got to ask yourself, did he miss it on purpose? Not on purpose, but like he knew if he came up a little short, it's okay. He's still going to the playoff. Where if he hits it long, it could just run off that green and then he's done.
Yeah. Like I could either guarantee it's like win or push or really give it a firm putt and it's win or possibly just completely lose.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think because there's not many scenarios where you're going to be like right there at the end of the Masters. And if you don't win, you're probably not playing competitive golf again.
Yeah.
There's definitely scenarios for these guys where they've been trying for years and years and years. And maybe they get really, really close. They come up short and that's where they have to just call it.
Well, and you look at like a Ben Griffin who was kind of struggling at that mid-tier level and just got to the point. He's like, I'm not making money. It's not happening for me. So I'm going to go sell insurance and just call it quits and be all done.
So at some point you have to make money. You can't just sit here and travel in a U-Haul and make no money forever.
Well, and you hear so many stories of these guys that have sponsors that are just people out of the goodness of their heart. They're like, hey, I'm wildly wealthy and I believe in you and you're a nice person or whatever. You gave me a good, PowerPoint deck and I'm in. I want to support this. But, it's not like, hey, it's been a decade. It's still kind of hovering near mid-pack on the mini tours down in southern Texas.
It's like Cam Young, right? Didn't he have that happen with Manfred?
Yeah, Cam Young, Bryson DeChambeau, same thing.
And it's gonna be me and you when I ask you to fund me for the World Series of Poker next year.
I bet you Scotty had one. I bet you Scotty had one. Right after
Bryson DeChambeau had one. There's that whole story where he was about to leave and he went to one of his neighbors to fund him.